And we are watching and standing by. We're about 3 minutes out, as early as 3 minutes out of the launch of LDSD. Dan, explain to the viewers what we're seeing and how this will all play out.
Sure. So on the left of the view that we have right now is the balloon. It's just about done being filled with helium, and so you can see it there ready to go. There's a big long cable attached to that balloon, 1,000 feet or so of cable, and that attaches it to our test capsule, which is hanging off the tower that you see on the right side of the screen. That's the launch tower, and that's just keeping the test capsule safe up until the time that the balloon can take that load and carry it away. So that's a specially designed tower in order to do that. We also have, at this point, an umbilical, which is attached. I don't think we can see it in this view. It's basically an electrical connection which is attached to the test capsule, allowing it to be powered from the ground, and that's going to be pulled in a few minutes, just prior to the launch. Have a close-up of the launch tower. You can see the umbilical hanging down from the test capsule.
We have ordnance OSS on Project Net. How do you copy? This is also Cisco. Yeah, the ASOP has been completed on the collar. OSS copies.
Light thermal. Go thermal. I think my display just stopped. The field display or
APC BPO, did you copy that? Drawer installation's complete.
Yes, sir. Still shows frames. Your frame counter has stopped? Do you have an estimate on system? You just reset it? Full release?
Yes, plate. I'm going to go off that for a second to go check it out. 10 minutes, maybe shorter. But
OCG, copy that.
On the VOCA that they are going to stand by an additional 5 to 10 minutes, so we will be waiting and standing by as well.
Copy system. Thank you for that.
This is based on data from last year. Dan, can you take us through that?
Sure. So we have actual data from what the balloon did last year. That's this blue line that you see. So it starts at the launch pad, then starts going up over PMRF, first moves a little bit to the east before the winds start to carry it to the west over the ocean once it gets to a high enough altitude. The end of the blue line, which we'll see in a second, is where it reached its altitude of 120,000 feet. There it is. And from there, the red line is where the capsule dropped off the balloon, the rockets fired, and we actually performed the test. And you see that it goes up higher, up to 180,000 feet. Where it sort of performs a hook at the end is where we open the parachute, and then the capsule comes coasting down. It takes about 40 minutes or so for it to coast all the way down and splash down into the ocean. And from there, we had boats on standby to go fish everything out of the water after the test was over.
Now we have a projection of this year's test, and if we could roll that video as well. This is what they project based on the data they got overnight, what they think the flight path will be this time.
That's right. So obviously this test is very weather dependent and very wind dependent. So we've been paying very careful attention to the winds and to our projected path of the balloon. And so we have a projection for what we think the balloon is going to do during the test today after it launches in a few minutes. So here is this time a light blue line extending from the launch pad and going upward. You see it's on a little bit of a different path up, but like last year's, it gets up to a high enough altitude, and then there's a prevailing westerly wind which carries it west out over the ocean, where we get to the point of dropping the test capsule off. We don't have the red line in this video to show the test capsule's trajectory from there, but that's just the path that the balloon will take.
All right. Meantime, we will stand by.
This test. It doesn't look that big now, but like we saw a little bit earlier in one of the videos, as it gets higher and higher in the atmosphere, it expands to a bigger and bigger size, and then at its maximum, it's as big as a football stadium, like the Rose Bowl here in Pasadena. So it's really an enormous balloon. What's also a little bit surprising is that the material is extremely thin. It's the same sort of material that is your plastic grocery bags are made out of. So it's a very, very thin kind of plastic material.
Stand by. This is BPO. Balloon spool release is imminent.
Sounds like they're almost there.
All right, you hopefully heard that.
We're hearing from the team right now that release is imminent, so we are going to stand by and be quiet.
Is released from the spool.
All stations, check step 86 and 87.
Collar is released.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. I see it. No, that's it. The collar. What they said? It's like the collar floats down. Yeah, it's the collar. Come on, dude. Now they're going to. Yeah, it's going to be perfect. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Balloon is launched. Balloon is launched.
All stations, balloon launch time 17:45:33. I repeat, launch time 17:45:33.
Alright, that looked pretty good. Main launch. Please go ahead and start looking at your telemetry, make sure all systems are healthy. We'll come around and do a poll here in a minute or so. Good time to relax.
And as we've just seen, the balloon was released at 43 minutes past the hour, and 2 minutes later, the vehicle took off. Dan, explain what we're seeing right now.
Sure, so we're watching the test capsule rise higher and higher in the air below the balloon. Looks like the launch went beautifully. The balloon launched, sort of paid out the cable below it until it got directly above that capsule. And then you saw the launch tower quickly move out of the way, allowing the capsule to cleanly move upward and start to ascend underneath the balloon. So at this point, the team on the ground is checking the health of the vehicle, making sure that all its systems are healthy and looking good, and just making sure that we're on track.
So right now, that vehicle is on its way to 120,000 feet. 120,000 feet.
We are complete through step 88 of the TC's checklist.
Yeah, Ethernet task disabled.
This is 120,000 feet is about 3 times as high as a 747 flies. So this is going to very quickly pass through the altitude that you would fly in a passenger plane and go much, much higher than that.
So we're standing by watching the ascent, and in about 15 minutes, maybe a little less, we expect to get a poll from the team and a health and safety poll of the vehicle, and we'll be back for that.